Hello there everyone, and welcome to the Level 2 Excel video. To get this started, we're just going to open up Excel like normal. We're going to start by opening up a blank workbook, and it's going to be great. First, we're going to want to rename this sheet 1, and you can just right click on it, go to rename, and we want to rename it credit cards. Alright, and now we're just going to add in the fields that the written tutorial tells us to do, and you want to make sure that you actually have these in the same cells that they're in on the written assignment, because if you don't, then the formulas that it tells you to write later aren't going to work right. So we want to just make sure that they're all in the exact same fields. So if you'll notice on these, the length of the field goes over the width of each cell we have here. So if you want to fix that and just make it automatically adjusted to the widest content, you can just scroll up to the top here and wait until you get that little arrow with, or the little bar with an arrow on either side, and just double click. So if you just go through and do that to each one, then you'll always be able to see everything you have there. Alright, and now we're just going to fill in some of the values here. So we can just add in here, we want $5,000. And it adjusted it to the money one automatically because I already had it put in that it would be a money format. I'll show you how I did that in the next one. So the next one's going to be $100. If you notice, it doesn't automatically adjust it. So you can right click that, and in this little cheat sheet box that comes up here, there's this button right here. And right now it's in accounting number format, which is just kind of regular numbers. But if you change it to this English money one, it just specifically puts it as a currency format. And for this one, it's a percentage. Certain things it will automatically know based on the formatting that you put in what you want. So this is 18%, and you can actually tell because you can switch between the styles. So if you want to just check what it's actually doing, if you do it as a strict number instead of a percent, you see it switched to 0.18, which is 18%, but we just want it in the percent style. So just hit that back again. Alright. So now, filling in what we have in the assignment, or in the lesson, the month is going to be the first month, and we're starting with the payment field here. And the payment is just that monthly payment that we have there. But we don't want to just copy in 100 each time, because that's like hard coding it in, and what if we want to change it from being 100 to 50? So it's actually going to be an absolute cell reference to that monthly payment that we created before. And as we learned in the first tutorial, to make an absolute cell reference, you just put that $sign in front of each thing, and it automatically stay the same. However, I messed up here. I forgot you have to start it with an equal sign. Anytime you're making a formula or reference to another cell, you need to have that equal sign. So my bad on that. Next, we want to focus on the interest formula, which will be for the monthly interest. That's cell B8. The interest formula is just the interest rate times the balance, and then divided by 12, because it's monthly. So that's just going to be B3 times B5, and all of that divided by 12. So now we're going to go to our new balance here, and our new balance is just going to be the original balance minus the monthly payment and then plus the interest. So that's just going to be, so start off the formula with your equal sign, and then it's B3 minus C8, and then plus the interest, which is B8. And then the next row, when we go down to do this next row, we want to make sure to set it up so that when we want to copy everything down the sheet, then it all copies the proper way. So this month one, instead of just making it 1, 2, 3, we want to always make sure that it's one more than the one previous to it. So that's going to be A8, because that's the one before it, and then plus 1. And the monthly interest is going to be very much like the previous one, except instead of using the original balance, we're going to be using the new balance. So we're going to want D8 times, and this one we're going to want to be an absolute reference. So B5, because that one's not going to change, and then minus the 12. Next, the payment one, we're already there. We used an absolute reference the first time, so you can just easily copy that one down, and it keeps everything the way we want it to be. And then the new balance is going, or the new balance for this one is going to be calculated using the previous new balance instead of the original balance. So for this one, it's just going to be the previous new balance, which in our case is cell D8, and then it's going to be plus the monthly interest, which is, for our purposes, B9. And we're going to subtract off the payment. So it'll be C9. So next we're going to move to the total interest and total payment fields. So the total interest is just a running total of all the monthly interest columns. We're just going to add those all up. And the total payments is the same thing, but for the payments column. And so we're going to use a couple of different ways to calculate these, but you could use either way for both ones, but we're going to do it in a couple of different ways. So for the monthly interest, or for the total interest one, we're just going to add the current monthly interest into the total. For this one, it's B8. And then the next one, so we're just going to use the one before it. So E8, or E9, no, 8. So E8, and then just add it to B9, which is the current one. And so that'll just keep totaling it as you go down. And now we're going to use total payment slightly differently. We're going to use it, or do it using a formula. Yeah. And so we're going to use the sum formula. It's a way to add everything up, basically. And it'll take a range of cells based on a colon. You can just be like A1 colon A3, and it'll add up all the ones in between there. So yeah, for right now, we're just going to add from C8 to C9, because that's all we have at the moment. And make sure that while you're writing the sum, you want that first reference to be an absolute reference. Except this one was actually supposed to be down there, and this one was supposed to be the reference to that C9. There we go. And see, this is a good way that you can error check and make sure that you haven't messed anything up. So, however, instead of being C10. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to copy and paste row 9 to row 10. So we can just see how it handles everything being copied and whether or not it adjusts everything the right way, which it does. So they're all correct the way we want them. And let's change the month heading here from month to payment number, because it's not really the month, the 1, 2, and 3 don't necessarily correspond to January, February, and March. So it's your first payment, your second payment. So now, a fun way to do this is if you highlight this row here, and you put your cursor in the corner here so it has that little kind of plus sign cursor there, and if you drag it down, it'll automatically fill things in for you. And if you notice, everything is adjusted the way it's supposed to be adjusted. Alright, and so that way we've got lots of good data, and you can see that it just copies everything down properly and keeps adding it up. So after all of this, we're going to head back up to row 8 here. So if you choose row 8 here, we can go to the View menu here and go to Freeze Panes, and then you can just hit Freeze Panes. And yeah, it's a little weird that you choose the one below the one you want to freeze to be able to freeze it, but that's how you do. So if you notice that as you're scrolling now, that row here is always shown, and everything above that row is always shown. So let's go and change the monthly payment from $100 to $150. What happens? Everything shifts. And you'll see we will have paid it off 2 payments before if we go with 150, and it is able to do that because we had that absolute cell reference here. If you change this number here, all of those change, and then the formulas adjust because they are all referencing that field. So now we want to adjust the payment so it pays off the loan in just 36 months as opposed to the 47. So to adjust that so that you can either play around with it by just guess and check here, you know, that's a little bit too high, or you can use this wonderful little what if analysis button. So if you go to this goal seek, you can figure out, so just fill all those in and it'll actually give you the value you want there. So we're going to do something. We're going to add number of payments and payment amount to up here, enter E. I'm going to add the number of payments. And we're going to add the payment amount. And this is a way to help you figure it out. It's going to be 36 payments, that's what we're going for here. And then we're going to use a formula here to figure out the payment amount, and I would suggest using a Google search to figure out which formula you like. If you just Google calculating loan payments in Excel, it'll tell you to use this PMT function. It'll bring up a thing and then just fill in the information like it says. It walks you through it and gives you little things there. So just follow the instructions there. I'm not going to show you how to do that one, so I trust you guys. Now we're going to switch over to sheet 2 here. We're going to rename that to statistics. And if you don't want to go through the whole process of right-clicking and hitting rename, you can just double-click on that name there to rename it as well. So now we want to download that spreadsheet off the Moodle page. You're just going to Control-A everything. Enable editing. So just control the entire thing, copy it all, move over into your workbook. Under the statistics, again, just start it in cell A1 and paste it all in. The top of the sheet here shows the statistics for the column of 50 values that are down here in blue. So it should happen that if you change the blue numbers, the graph should change. 1, 1, 1, 1. You see this here change. So you can see it, watch it as it changes. And the 3s also shift down because there are no longer so many 3s. So you're going to notice that your chart isn't updating when you change the values down here. And that's because when you actually copy and pasted everything, it just copied the picture. It didn't copy like the data ranges for it. So you're just going to want to right click on it, select data, and then you're going to want to change this one first. So you're going to want to, I just removed all the entries that it defaulted. Clicked add, it brought up this little box. You're just going to add the series name, make it values 1 through 10. You're going to want to make sure you have that in quotes. And then for the series value, just make it empty and then highlight, or wrong row, sorry. Highlight this row here because that's the data that you're going to want in it. And then after you've finished doing that, you're going to want to go to this horizontal category axis labels and click on the edit there. And from there, you're going to want to highlight this row so that it knows that those are what it wants on the bottom. And then after you've finished all of that, just hit OK. And that should make it so it knows what you're doing. So now if you go through and change these, that should adjust as well as the other. Alright, and then there's the final piece is you need to make sure to change these numbers so that you end up getting a mean of 6 and median and mode of 5. So you've already got the median mode of 5, so you've just got to change it so that that mean is 6. And you want a standard deviation of 2.3. Again, I'm not going to show you how to do it. That's up to you. So have fun playing around with it. And if you want to keep it sorted, sort, you can either click sort or you can just take this little sort smallest to largest and it'll sort it all back for you. So yeah, play around with it, have fun. That's all I got for you today. Have a great day, everyone.